Here's the deal. Heath Ledger's alive, and on July 20th, he's coming back, just in time for The Dark Knight Rises. Is this a long shot? Sure. A conspiracy theory? Maybe. But the question you need to ask yourself is, what if? Hear me out. What if Heath Ledger faked his death to make The Dark Knight and its sequel the most compelling entertainment event in history? Here's what we know. To pull this off, you need some key players. First, you need an actor crazy enough to give up 4 years of his life for a role. A method actor who would go to any length for his craft. Heath Ledger is such an actor. Look at his portrayal of a gay cowboy in the controversial Brokeback Mountain, and of a psychotic supervillain, the Joker, in The Dark Knight. Second, you need a director brilliant enough to concoct this sort of twisted scheme. Look no further than Christopher Nolan. Nolan has been quoted saying, "I tell you what I'm going to do before I do it." Indeed, his other films suggest as much. Inception is one of the most head-spinning films of our time. Memento gives you hints of a deeper tale throughout the film. The Dark Knight, in its own title, shows you the end result of the movie. But perhaps the most telling example is The Prestige. In The Prestige, which stars several of the same actors of the Batman trilogy, a description of a magic trick is woven throughout. Each magic trick has 3 parts: the pledge, the turn, and the prestige. In the pledge, the magician shows you something very ordinary. In the turn, that something ordinary does something extraordinary. In the prestige, you are shown something you've never seen before. What if Chris Nolan is telling us exactly what he's going to do before he does it? In the Batman trilogy, Batman Begins shows a simple Joker card towards the end of the movie, quite ordinary. In The Dark Knight, we see a character of the Joker that was something miraculous, acting that was more extraordinary than we had ever expected. Return. Perhaps in The Dark Knight Rises, he'll show us an actor actually coming back from the dead, something we've never seen before. The Prestige.
What's more, resurrection themes are prevalent in Nolan and Ledger films, especially the Batman movies. In Batman Begins, both Bruce Wayne and Ra's al Ghul return from suspected deaths. The Joker himself plays dead in a plot to kill a gangster in The Dark Knight, and Commissioner Gordon falsifies his death in the same movie. In fact, one of the key lines in the entire film was, "You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain." But movie hints aren't enough. How does a man actually fake his death? As it turns out, there are many questionable details surrounding Heath's death. First, Heath's personal masseuse, who supposedly found him dead, made 3 phone calls before she contacted the authorities, all to Mary Kate Olsen, a friend of Heath's who has the personal wealth to help fund such a risky undertaking. Second, Heath, a high-profile movie star, had fewer than 10 people attend his funeral in rural Australia. 10 people. Heath's death took place at just the opportune time, the perfect time, to generate even greater interest in the release of The Dark Knight. Finally, one detail of the upcoming films is particularly surprising. There are no advanced screenings happening for this movie. What possible reason did Nolan have for missing out on this extra hype if there's not something spectacularly secretive about to happen?
What's the motivation for a man giving up so much? Why be part of something so difficult, deceptive, and lonesome, only to accomplish the greatest cinematic moment of all time? Let's look at the consequences of Heath coming back from the dead. For one, people are amazed. They can't believe a man would go so far for his acting, and they all go to see the movie. For another, there's an outcry against Heath's actions. It's just wrong, or this is going too far, they'll say. But all the controversy will only stand to increase the popularity and financials of the film. Finally, the boundaries of film and real life will forever become blurrier. At what point does one go too far? But as long as people are debating, Heath, Chris Nolan, and the Batman series will be reaping the rewards. The question you need to ask yourself is, what if Heath Ledger is alive? And perhaps on July 20th, he'll make his grand return and simply ask,
why so serious?